Hi, everyone. This is Karen Jackson, and you are now listening to Chat with Sandy and Karen. Our guest today is Mel A. and at Funguli, the Twitter handle. Honestly, the Twitter handle is what caught my eye years ago, and I thought, I want to talk to that person. So we may have to talk about her Twitter handle. But Mel, welcome. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you. Well, it's an honor to be here. I mean, your podcast is pretty chill. You know, it's like one of those ones that you can just, I subscribe to this channel I'm in, and I randomly get notifications. I'm like, oh, they're live. I should listen. And then, oh, what's an interesting conversation, you know? I think it's cool.
Neat.
I like, relaxed sort of podcasts, ones that aren't super structured, you know, so you can be more flexible with what you're talking about. So no, thank you so much for being able to have me as a guest. I hope that I can share something that is worthwhile for whoever is listening today or in the future.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When we started this podcast, we were thinking, well, let me just say, Sandy is a bit under the weather, and we will have her back next time. But I just wanted to say, when we started our podcast, we thought, wouldn't it be nice to just, if we could go to a pub, and at the time I was in Texas and she was in Sweden, if we could go to a pub or something and just chat and just talk about teacher stuff and just kind of decompress a little bit like you would do after work. And so that's right. And I like how you said it's kind of chill, that's cool too. Yeah, no stress Saturday chat is really our theme.
That's a great idea.
Thank you. So we're going to talk about education in general, but also just the growth challenges and things that are coming across our desks as educators. And we were going to talk about some of the challenges of living internationally. And so what is your experience, Mel, with teaching and international living?
Okay, so a little bit of background, I guess, about me, since I was like, maybe I should introduce myself. Would be a good idea for whoever's out there, whoever doesn't know me, you know. So yeah, my name is Melissa Aveling, but most people call me Mel A. Like on my Twitter thing, it just says Mel, and people are like, who is this person? So I'm Australian, but it's been a while since I lived there. I did start my education journey there. I mean, I was teaching English and mathematics in Australia. Like if you want to do like secondary education, so like high school, like 7 to 12, you have to do 2 different methods. So English and maths were my 2 methods back in the day, more than 10 years ago. And I did teach there for a while. And in early 2014, I went to a job fair in Melbourne. I'm not from Melbourne, by the way. And yeah, I was looking at schools actually in China because I'd studied Chinese for so long. Because my mum's Malaysian, by the way. I'm going to give you my whole life story now, apparently. And you'll be able to hear in the background right now, aguacate, which means avocado. There's guys, I'm in Colombia, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So there are people just, you know, in the street that walk around with their trolley things, just shouting out what they're selling, you know.
That is, man.
So
I want an avocado now.
And they're pretty big here. There was like huge avocados. But yeah, You'll hear the guy just anyway, that was a random aside. Yeah, so I'm in Colombia. So okay, maybe summary. So like Australia, then I was in Taiwan, then I'm in Colombia. But yeah, from Australia, basically, like for many years I'd studied Chinese because my mum had wanted myself and my 2 brothers basically to learn the language. Because even though she's from Malaysia, a lot of people there do speak Chinese. She doesn't really. She speaks like one of the local dialects. And she was like, it'd be good if you can speak with your grandparents and stuff, you know. So she made sure that we learned it. And so going overseas, I was like, I'm going to look at these schools in China to sort of like build on my very terrible Chinese, you know, to get me to use it. Because, you know, when you're I mean, Australia is very multicultural, but I mean, you can get away with speaking English basically everywhere. You don't need to know Chinese to communicate, in Australia. So I was like, if I move to a country that basically only speaks that language, that's going to force me to use whatever it is that I have and to build on that. But then when I got to the job fair, everyone was like, don't restrict yourself to one country, that's like limiting yourself. I mean, you're here, there's like 60 different schools, from all around the world. But I had no international experience, right? I've been teaching for 4.5 years or whatever in Melbourne, and I was like, and most international schools, they're always looking for people that have experience, internationally. People are like, should be flexible, be open, just go around and see, what's going on. And so I looked at some other schools. I mean, I was looking at Hong Kong and Singapore, just chatted to some people, realized that they were looking for people with way more experience. And then I found this guy that was for a booth for this school in Taiwan. I had never really heard of I mean, one of my friends was from Taiwan, but I never actually really knew where it was or anything about it, actually. But anyway, I mean, I sat and talked to this guy, and he was from Melbourne, and I was like, wow. And we had a good chat. I mean, anyway, I mean, in the end, I ended up having an interview, and I got the job to move to Kaohsiung for August 2019. 2014, sorry. That's when I left, 2019. But yeah, I was there for 5 years.
Wow.
It's a very interesting change, I guess, because it was the IB system. So I was used to, Australian system. Who knows what that is really, but something Aussie and crazy. But yeah, it was a good experience, really good to have experience teaching IB. So I was there for 5 years, had a great community. And then and then 2019, I moved here to Colombia, so South America. So you can imagine the interesting differences, I guess, culture-wise. I mean, Australia to Taiwan, and then Taiwan to Colombia. Some good times. I mean, settling in Taiwan wasn't so bad because I think, because I have some Asian background, I'm sort of a bit more familiar with Asia. So I was comfortable there. But, I thought, I'm still young, I can still go and explore other places. I shouldn't, just limit myself and just stay here forever. And I was like, doing a bit of an adventure. And of course, coming here, totally different culture. I mean, I knew it was going to be a bit of a shock, but, it's something different.
So Spanish, right? They speak Spanish in your neck of the woods? And it's not... I can kind of relate with Swedish and English because you can get by definitely speaking English. I know 0 Swedish. Well, I know about 5 words and whatever Duolingo can tell me. But I understand what you're saying is it forces you, if you live in a place where they don't already speak the language, because everyone wants to speak English with me. They think, oh, finally, I can talk to a native speaker. But did you learn Spanish before you went to Colombia?
Well,
or you just jumped in?
Well, I mean, it was like Duolingo, right? So for a couple of years, I mean, 2016, I over my summer break, I went to the US and also Guatemala and El Salvador. And that got me thinking about, like, I looked at some really old blogs actually a month ago or so. I used to blog back in the day about my travels and stuff. And I'd written there, considering maybe teaching in Latin America in the future. And I was like, I don't remember writing that at all. I was just like, what is this? This is what I thought back then in 2016. But a couple of my friends, or close friends that I had in Taiwan, they were looking at moving on after their 3rd or 4th year. So it got me looking at some different schools, I guess, in South America. And I guess maybe at that point I downloaded the Duolingo app and I was trying to learn Spanish on there. But, Duolingo in real life, it's
different.
Quite different, I mean, the app is good. It makes you feel like, some things on the app. You're like, yeah, I've got this streak and I'm doing all this stuff and feel like I'm awesome. But yeah, no. I mean, like Taiwan and Colombia are similar in the the idea that most of the people in the country would just speak their native language. So like in Taiwan, I mean, they have Taiwanese, but most people speak Chinese, but they use traditional Chinese for the writing, and I learned simplified. But you can sort of tell, I mean, some of the words, some of them, it's like, how did you even get from here to here? I mean, it's truly simplified, like, because they have different levels of how the characters have evolved over time and that sort of thing. And I mean, so Taiwan, I mean, I needed to speak Chinese or Taiwanese, or like, no,
Right.
my mom could speak Hokkien, which is similar to Taiwanese, but we didn't really get taught that. I mean, when we just spoke English basically our whole lives, just for
Yeah.
whatever we learned in school or when we visited my mom's family in Malaysia, sort of improve those language bits and pieces. But yeah, the language, yeah, no. And when I interviewed with this particular school that I'm at, they did tell me that basically all the meetings are in Spanish. And I mean, I would teach in English, like for mathematics, but they just, that year that I was interviewing, the year before, it was their first time hiring an international teacher for mathematics. And he taught in English. But I mean, prior to that, mathematics was almost solely taught in Spanish.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I knew beforehand. Crazy. Like it was like for the shock. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm alive. So
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, and it's I think that's the coolness of life is that sometimes it's messy and awkward, and but you survive it, right? And you learn. You never know what little conversations can lead to some future adventure or something, and that's what I try to tell the young people around me is that make friends with people, talk about the world, and kind of lift your eyes and look around, because there's so much more than your town. I mean, even if it's in Sweden or if it's in Texas or if it's in Colombia, there's so much more going on, and it's open to you. If you just got to take advantage of those opportunities. Very exciting.
yeah. But I know it can be a challenge, though. It's a challenge, like to take that step, to actually go,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
yeah, I want to do this. I think
it's
it's good to
terrifying.
like maybe start at like I don't know, a school that's not too crazy or different maybe from where you are. Or if you want the direct shock immediately, I mean, just go and do it, I guess. It just
Yeah.
depends on who you are and how you can deal with different things. But I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd moved directly to Colombia, I don't know if I would have coped
Yeah.
maybe with that shock of like the language and the culture. The culture is so different here. Like everyone, well, obviously with the
Yeah.
pandemic, it's a little bit different, but everyone likes to hug you. So they all like, and they're very
Oh
welcoming and very loud. Like where I am, like in Cali, it's like the salsa capital. I do not dance. Okay. I enjoy music and I can watch. I mean, if people are dancing, sure. But yeah, I mean, the people here, they're super friendly for sure. I mean, like
yeah.
super welcoming, but it's like overwhelming in a way. Like it's like when I first got here, like with all the
So
language and all the people. I was like, what is this?
wow.
But no, I mean, the people at the school, it's a good community, good
Hmm.
community.
Did you have a support system? What kind of support system? Like I know you said Taiwan was one step, and then it was more of a bold step. Or did you have support, or was it just you and your adventurous spirit? Or
What do you mean by support? As in,
did people tell you were crazy, or was there anyone that said, "Yeah, you
okay.
go, girl"?
That's a good question. I don't actually know. I mean, what was I? I just remember. What was it? I think it was January, maybe January 2019. And
Hmm.
I was, or no, actually in 2018, when I mentioned a few of my friends were leaving, and so it got me to sort of be I didn't want to leave right then at that point, but just to do some research, at different schools in like Latin and South America. And yeah, I was looking at Costa Rica, Panama, because my friend from El Salvador that I traveled with back in the day, she told me that, for expats and stuff, Costa Rica is pretty friendly for that, and they've got really good ecotourism, and I really love like nature and that sort of thing. So I was looking at Costa Rica, Panama first, but then after my research and actually so I was emailing some the school, and then they put me in contact with some people from the school,
nice.
just to know how it was there. And they did say that cost of living is astronomical. Like, it's so expensive to live there, and you can't really save anything. And at that point in time, I just bought a house in Australia, like as an investment property. There's people living there and stuff. So, I mean, they're sort of helping me pay back my amazing loan. But I wanted to live in a place that I could save a little bit. Like, I didn't need to be super rich. I mean, that is not my thing. I mean, being a teacher, you can't really do that.
What?
But
I'm only in it for the money. What are you talking about?
but just being able to so I wanted to be able to survive, I needed somebody to survive. I didn't want to be worrying the whole time about like the next paycheck and hoping that I have enough money for food or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look at South America instead. But I don't know who I was talking about, like talking to, you're talking about getting support and people saying, yeah, you can do this. And I'm trying to think, like, who I spoke to. I don't even know if I spoke to my family. Did I speak to my family about that? I mean, I probably should have. I mean, they will probably but they know that I'm pretty independent. I think maybe my mom might worry about me a bit sometimes, but I don't know. It's
Do they come visit you? Do they come visit you?
In Colombia? No, I haven't. I've only been here since August 2019. Okay, so it was just like 6-7 months, and then it was the pandemic. But my who came to Taiwan? Okay, so in Taiwan, I was there for 5 years, right? So the April that I was going to leave, that I was going to go because the job started in July. Me and my mother and I, we went to Taiwan together. It was sort of like for her maybe to feel like, okay, yes, this place will be okay. We went to the school, met some of the people there. So for her, I think maybe it was like, yes, I feel okay about this. But Colombia didn't do that. I mean, it was just, it was what it was. I mean, I looked at a lot of different options, but here in this part of the world, it's hard to find jobs that start in August, actually, because there's a lot of countries in the southern hemisphere. So they use like the February, December sort of schedule, and finding an IB school. Because for me, going overseas, and I knew, because knowing that going to South America, wherever I was going, it was going to be a culture shock, and I didn't want it also to be completely different in terms of like curriculum or way of teaching. So I was like, 5 years IB, I know what this is about, inquiry-based learning, open-minded stuff, just good stuff, So I was looking for an IB school, and that was also difficult, finding schools that had IB for quite a long time. And I was registered with a agency or a company called Search Associates. So they're pretty good for, if you want to look for jobs for going overseas. They've got so many different schools and stuff and options, but not so many in South America that were IB. So I actually went to like the IB World School site and searched for schools and actually called them like on Skype. And so it was good to like figure out which schools, like who could speak English, because IB can be taught in Spanish, French, or English, you see. And the sites, I was just like, it's not clear. Do they use English or Spanish? So it was like some interesting conversations. Like I emailed like 20 schools or something like that, and then didn't get many replies. And I was like, okay, I need to call them. And then, this is Duolingo times, okay, with my really terrible Spanish. So I was like, no. So the whole time I was just asking, do you guys speak English? I mean, now being in Colombia for 2.5 years, I can get by a bit. I mean, I didn't take any official Spanish lessons, but you sort of have to sort of pick up
Yeah.
stuff and start
You're
learning.
immersed in it.
Yes. I mean, I removed Duolingo from my phone maybe a few months ago because I was like, nah, why am I doing this? What?
Yeah. Yeah. You get more education just going to the shop probably and talking to people there.
Yeah. But coming back to your question about support, sorry, I just went on a whirlwind of who knows
No.
what. I don't even know what.
No, that
Oh,
was
Sandy
interesting.
is in the chat. Sandy's alive.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I just saw her there. Hello. I think maybe because there's a stereotype, right, about this part of the world that everyone's just like, it's dangerous. Like, how can you teach there's drugs and all that sort of thing? Especially like Colombia, they just think of narcos. Like my friends are like, have you watched Narcos? I mean, Escobar and all this sort of stuff. And I was just like,
well.
come on, okay. So maybe my parents might have been a bit wary, but maybe they trust my judgment also. So maybe they're like, okay, I mean, like, you've done the research, you know what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
I mean, you're willing to go and do whatever it is, then maybe they're okay with that. Maybe I should maybe have a conversation with my parents about that. see what the initial reaction really was.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you had already moved to Taiwan, and survived that and seemed to be flourishing from that. So I think maybe their experience with you, they trusted you a little bit more to trust yourself, and they could probably see you're doing your research. And yeah, I mean, in itself, that trust is kind of support, I think. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, taking it step by step, I guess. Maybe slowly, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely have to look into things first. I mean, that was really good that you had the IB skills, and that was kind of your bridge, and you knew, okay, so here's my strength and here's what I have to offer. And then you went with that. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, then arriving here, I mean, it was a bit much, but because the school was very different to what I expected. And I mean, just huge, like, talk about growth, talk about forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone and do whatever. I mean, like, that is a bit crazy. But you have to just go with it. I mean, like, because originally myself, when I was teaching Taiwan, I mean, I was not a leader. I wasn't someone that would go out of my way to try to, I don't know, change things or put forward my opinion, because I was like, no, because all the other people there have basically had much more experience than me, and I was learning a lot from them,
Right.
And then coming here, sort of put in a sort of different position. I mean, I was still the lowly math teacher. Don't get too excited. Okay, nothing too exciting about that. But I mean, the people in the team, most of them have been teaching maths for a long time. But IB itself and like the mindset of IB, the idea of it, so different. Like a lot of them are still doing like the traditional style of things. And I mean, the team is great though. I mean, like, they're very supportive and encouraging and that sort of thing. But there were a lot of things that needed to be changed, basically. There was a lot of stuff because I'd seen how the IB works, or how it should really work, I guess, generally speaking. And the way things, like how the kids should be like open to learning and like just, be more flexible with things. But yes, I came here and it was very different. So yeah, I felt like I had to say something, I guess. And it was lucky because another teacher had come from another city who had also been at an IB school. So we were new to the school. So we could sort of had the power in a way to change up a few things, because we looked at like the curriculum and the structure of what they had, and we were like, what is this? No. So we like removed everything and sort of started from scratch. And I mean, for the students, it was a big like for them to go from what they've been used to for so long and also being taught in Spanish as well, big changes for them because they're so used to maths being like a right and wrong sort of thing, you know, and not really the process. No, I mean, they like to write in pencil so they can erase anything that might be wrong.
Right.
You know,
They want
any
to be right.
evidence. And I was just like, that's the most important part, guys. And they're used to being told the answers, like, okay, what's the answer to this? Yes, tell me the formula.
Yeah.
So yes, another type of interesting challenge and experience, I guess.
So that's kind of like taking advantage of being the new kid, you know. You can say, well, we're new here, you and this other teacher, we're new here, and this is the way we're going to do it, right? You know, and then just have your, you know, insert some new way of doing things. So that's that kind of change, I think, is very exciting and is good because I think, and that's why you were hired, probably because of your international experience and experience with IB. That's great. That's neat.
Maybe. Don't know. Don't know why I was
We'll
hired,
see.
but I'm here anyway. I mean,
Yep.
it is what it is.
Yes.
True.
So what does inspire you? What why do you come to school every day?
Huh. Interesting reasons, I guess. I guess like teaching is one of those things where like every day is different. You know, every session is different. Even if you have the same group of kids, it's different. I mean, you don't know how they're going to act or react to certain things or how willing or motivated they're going to be on a particular day. It's a very interesting type of job, I guess. But for me, I guess it's just seeing the students grow or like being able to be open to learn different things in different ways and just seeing that develop over, you know, the time that you are with them. And they sort of push us, you know, as educators to change and also to like listen and to be like, okay, so maybe this way is not working. So what's another way that we could do this? Or what is working? What is effective? You know, I think it's just the idea of being able to continuously develop. You know, I'm guessing there are maybe some jobs that you're not necessarily being pushed, you know, to maybe you're pushed to go to a higher position, but I mean, just for you personally to develop and to change your way of doing whatever it is you're doing. I think teaching is one of those jobs that does that, you know. And there's so much to this profession. It's not just like being in the classroom or whatever. It's a lot. And like and I know Greta's in the chat. She's my friend from Argentina.
Oh, wonderful.
Cool. Yes. Yeah,
there we go.
Awesome. Yeah.
Our students do inspire us. Yes, absolutely.
And challenge. I mean, it is what it is. It is very interesting. I'm just going to say interesting basically all the time because that is what it is. But I mean, like I've gone through many different stages. I mean, when I was leaving Australia, I honestly didn't know if I still wanted to be a teacher. I mean, I'd been allocated to teach all these subjects that I was not interested in at all. And I mean, the team, again, all the places that I've worked at, like the team that I've been with have been amazing, like amazing educators, you know.
Yes.
But then when you're asked to teach subjects that you're just like, I mean, no, I don't want to. And I was just finding it hard to like try to engage students. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? And I was like, it's time for me to look elsewhere, like to look overseas. And so moving to Taiwan sort of reawakened maybe my teaching spirit. Or like, and I was like, okay, yeah, I still want to be a teacher, you know. But yeah, it's been quite the interesting road. I'd say that.
Yes. Yeah. And just think of all the stories now you'll have to share with your students for encouragement to them. You know, that's great. That is so cool.
Yeah, that is the thing about like communicating with students and stuff, like, sorry, just what you just mentioned about stories that I could share with them, because previously I just wouldn't share anything with students. I mean, I'm a very closed off sort of person, generally speaking, until like the pandemic. So the pandemic, forced a lot of us out of our comfort zones and got us to try to, I guess, explore different ways which we could connect with students, that we could engage them, the virtual land. And I realized that building relationships with students was a really important thing. And I've said this before, but I'm just like, I know it's very sad, 10 years, more than 10 years of teaching. You're like, oh yes, actually relationships are important. It's so yeah, I mean, the pandemic is the thing that taught me that. And I was like, okay, so communication with students, super important, and just getting their feedback and then chatting to them and just understanding who they are and working with that. I think that's something that's, I really like, I wouldn't be on like a live like this either. I mean, like this past year, I've just done a lot of stuff that originally I just would not have done. And a lot of it is through like people I've connected with on Twitter and that sort of thing. But yes, lots of influencers, people that push you, and
very
interesting.
And
lots of connections.
the connections are, I think in this past year has shown us that there are so many similarities, and that we're all going through very similar experiences, even though we may be far apart, So I think that it's emboldened me, I know, to reach out and talk to different people and ask them to come and chat a little bit. And I'm not going to die if somebody says no. There was a time in my life when I wouldn't ask because I was afraid of being told no, and so it's like, what the hell? Just ask.
Just go out, right? Just go out and contact people and message people all the time. I mean, that's just it's just taking that step, because because it's very easy just to do your own thing and just feel like you're all comfortable, like warm in your own little bubble. But then once you take that first step to get out of that, I mean, there's someone there, to guide you, to help you out from your PLN, and you can just keep going, instead of so your comfort zone actually becomes much larger than whatever it was before.
I think that's it. Yeah, you're never really leaving your comfort zone. It's just getting bigger. Oh my gosh, that's a book. We need to write that down. That's a great idea.
A book?
Growing
me.
comfort zone. That is so brilliant. That's great. Love it. Thank you so much, so much for coming and chatting today. And I wish Sandy was here. She would love this.
Well, Greta's in the chat saying that she wants to be more like you.
Oh yes. I don't know.
We all have something different to offer, whether we know it or not, or admit it or not. That's what it is.
That's true. We're unique, and we do have our own unique abilities to offer. I agree. Well, you are welcome back anytime. And is there anything else that you want to add that you feel like, oh, I should have said this? Because I want to give you the chance to say that now, because if you're anything like me, we're talking about being like people. As soon as I click end broadcast, I'm going to think, oh, I should have asked her something. So
I'd say, I guess maybe, like what Greta's talking about, saying that she's always afraid to ask. She's someone that's a great example of someone that I think has gone way out of her comfort zone, as someone that wouldn't usually, well, I don't know, Greta can correct me if I'm wrong, if not, but I mean, she's someone that wouldn't have usually shared, I mean, as much as she would have previously, or gone on lives to speak and that sort of thing, like with her community. She's part of a GEG in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. but she's someone that's really inspiring. Like she creates a lot of stuff and shares things, but she's shy. She's like, and then,
Well, I'm going to
but
put
I
all
say
her
like,
comments up here.
I know. Well, I mean, yeah, the comments. I mean, she's someone that will write in the comments, but not necessarily be as vocal. But now we chat on a daily basis usually. But I'd say like for people like whoever's watching or listening, I mean, don't be afraid to actually take that step or reach out, to connect with people. And I think that is the first sort of thing. I mean, grow your PLN on like Twitter. I know a lot of people are like, what is Twitter? What is this thing? I don't need that. I mean, but it's amazing for educators. I mean, like if you're not on there, you need to get on there. And we have amazing community on there, and you don't know who you're going to connect with, and who's going to like inspire you, or you might inspire them. I mean, they encourage you to share stuff. I would not have shared things. I mean, now I share a lot of stuff. Okay, but I did not use, because I was like, who's going to want to see that? I mean, really. But then due to some people's encouragement, I put that there. And because this is about, well, this chat was originally about, I guess, international experiences and just growing. And if you are considering going overseas, I mean, just do it. I mean, just reach out. You can connect to me, or I mean, Karen's
Absolutely.
she's overseas in a different country as well. I mean, if you want to hear about experiences or just any advice about teaching internationally and the sort of, I don't know how to go about it. If you're like, well, I'm interested, but I have no idea. There's just too much information. And I guess it is like that now. I mean, there's just so much out there. It's like too overwhelming. I don't know what to do. But I mean, I'd say just need to take that step, even if it is just reaching out to a school or signing up with like Search Associates, whatever it is, but you're not going to regret it. Okay. It might be a huge challenge, but it'll, learn so much from that experience.
That's right. And you learn just even making that connection with someone else internationally or locally or wherever, that in itself is reaching out and is enriching both people, I think. I think just that in itself, it may not ever lead to you going out of the country, but it may lead to you just thinking about the world as a bigger place. So I think that's great.
Absolutely. I think just communications and connections, just don't say like, don't, draw up like a wall or like a cross on everyone. Like, no, it's just me. Don't come near me. I mean, just need to take that step and just reach out if you do need any advice at all. And I want to say a big thank you to Karen and sorry to Sandy. I mean, I hope you're feeling better, but thanks so much for, allowing me to be on your show to share random bits and bobs about my weirdo life. That's it is what it is.
That's right. Thank you so much. And you're welcome back anytime. And to our listeners, you're welcome to share this. And we're found on all the excellent podcast outlets out there. And we're just happy to be here. And thank you again for listening. And Mel, have a great evening, a great day. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.